We have sort of a not terribly full agenda, but lots of things to discuss. And as always, discussion is the name of the game. We really encourage everyone's input.
And lowering the speed limit.
Okay.
But your question, what?
So if you're gonna make changes to anything that affects property owners, then they should all be consulted
And they will. That's
before this process starts to see if they agree to it, is what
as part of
feels
the
fair.
As part of the city's process, they engage every property owner on the street and within 2 blocks.
Awesome.
And there's a vote.
Good deal.
So I think. So anyway, the city, once they choose your street, it doesn't mean you didn't have traffic on it. It means you're going to start a process. And they'll ask all the neighbors on the street, you have to vote on it. So it's a very open process.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, finally, I wanted to get to one last item, some of you may already know about this. It is now sort of a matter of public record, so you can certainly find some information. As you all know, several years ago, before my time, there was a vote in the neighborhood. And sort of a number of steps associated with that vote to propose a name change from Cameron Park to Forest Park. That obviously went in a certain direction, shall we say. That has been associated with some disagreement amongst some of our neighbors, as you all know. Over the past little while, there has been some ongoing discussions, mostly between Myra Coward and some of us, including Mike and myself. Some of these discussions have included just sort of ex parte discussions. Some have included discussions at an attorney's office, sort of discussing we'll say, legality or properness of some of the steps that were followed during the process. There has been some disagreement, certainly, amongst these parties in terms of whether the process was transparent, whether the process was consistent with our bylaws, whether the process was legal, whether the process should have been done at all. Lots of these questions. This has now sort of culminated in a legal suit, I guess, lawsuit. That was served about 3 weeks ago to myself as president, but basically to the neighborhood association, demanding, I don't know if that's quite the right word, but basically requesting no monetary damages or remedy, but basically sort of a number of, and I don't have everything right at my fingertips, but basically a number of sort of requests or sort of demands that basically boil down to going back to because of all of these irregularities, the demand or the request is that the name change was improper. and that the neighborhood should revert back basically, or has never changed from Cameron Park. So that suit required a response. We have, the executive committee met several weeks ago to sort of discuss whether we were going to respond at all. I think there was sort of unanimous feeling that we needed to respond and wanted to defend the current name of Forest Park. That also has, or the process has involved the participation of an attorney who is donating or using pro bono, or offering his services pro bono. Although there may be other charges associated, or other expenses associated with defending the suit. The, I think, important issues are that this is happening at all. I think that some of the discussions that have involved Myrick and others, there seems to be, on the one hand, a fairly unanimous feeling that nobody wants to go through a whole name change vote again, if possible. I think they would like to avoid that. I think that that part seems clear. But at the same time, it does require some thought and some commentary, and ultimately to decide at what point do we say this is what we want, or do we need to come up with another plan, or do we say we're done, okay, we give. This, even though Neil is donating his services, there may certainly be other costs associated with the with this, and at some point, we need to figure out if this is where we want to spend our money. So there are a number of sort of comments and decisions that need to be made. The suit itself is a fairly long suit with a fairly long set of sort of supporting documents. These are available, and I can make those available to people, although it's available as part of public record. I don't know exactly how to get it, but I know it's available out there, as all legal suits are. But I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention because this is sort of happening in real time. We did ask for a 30-day extension, which was, I guess, automatically granted. Which means that now the sort of official response needs to be made by, I think, December 7th, which will likely mean that there will be sort of a counter response, and with holidays, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know exactly how the timing will all sort of work out, but that's sort of roughly where we're at.
Question, Joe?
Sure.
As I understand, the executive committee has considered this. Neil Ryman has agreed that he will represent the association, that there may be some expenses associated with responding to the lawsuit, but that our bylaws provide full authority to the executive committee to make the necessary decisions. So I assume your decision has been made to engage Neil to respond to defend the association.
that would, I think all of that is true.
So your report is telling us what you're doing, but not seeking any action because the executive committee has full authority according to Article 7 of the bylaws to make decisions of this matter.
So, I think we needed to meet, the executive committee needed to meet in order to offer some response.
Sure.
I would agree that certainly the initial feeling was amongst the executive committee, who, as you say, I think has the authority to make that decision to proceed with defense of the name. On the other hand, we certainly wanted to bring it to a larger group and seek, I guess, support, certainly input, if people have input. We have not, either as executive committee, with or without Neil, yet kind of sat down to discuss the merits or strategy or anything at this point. At this point, it has been purely procedural, which has included a petition to move the venue from where it was initially, I guess, served.
Wake Superior Court. And Neil recommended moving it to business court.
Business court, for a number of reasons. That petition was actually rejected this week. So, yeah. And so, the suit will sort of continue in the venue, in Superior Court, I guess.
Who are the, one question and then a comment.
Sure.
The plaintiff, who is the plaintiff? Is it Myrick, and that's the only
Yeah,
plaintiff?
so, yes and no. So yes, the plaintiff is Myrick, and it'll take me a few minutes. There are about 6 co-defendants. I don't know if you have that.
It's
Andy?
Myrick Howard, it's Claudia Brown, it's John Connell, Lee Folcher, David Kesterson, and Kathy McKee.
That are the defendants?
No, the ones bringing the complaint.
They are the ones bringing the complaint,
Right.
so there's 6 plaintiffs? Okay. And one defendant, us. Thank you for that. I would like to get a copy of that. I'll talk to you later about that.
Sure.
I'm no longer licensed, but I'm a lawyer by training, and we have, I think, other folks here. I would say this, that as you go forward with this as an executive committee, it's great that you're being so transparent and sharing this information with a larger group. But there's tremendous strategy decisions that I don't know if they should be shared with the larger group. That's within the prerogative of the executive as our elected leaders. Am I being clear about why that is? I mean, I don't think you want to bring strategy issues or information to the larger group. is what I'm
Neighbors
saying.
don't deserve to know what's going on?
No.
Right. If you want to engage with me, I'll talk to you later about.
No, I'm asking you, I'm just asking you right now in a public discussion.
No, I'm not going to answer that now. But that's my advice or my sense of this, having practiced law for many years.
Joe, are you asking and telling the group that at some point there may be a need for the executive committee to decide to spend money, for example, because that may happen in the future, and that sort of a decision perhaps should come to the association?
That may.
So that there are questions coming down the line that you want us to be aware of. And then there are other things that you as the executive committee have the right to proceed on. that we don't need to be party to. That's what I'm hearing. I think.
What my sense, this last comment would be, we have legal counsel. And legal counsel can provide this advice as to what to share with the group.
Yes.
And what needs to be kept confidential.
Sure.
And it appears to me that if the executive committee has engaged Neil, the executive committee has taken the action necessary to begin the process. And I'll endorse what Greg said. The executive committee lawyer moves this forward, and there was a process. We had a process. It was agreed. You're defending the neighborhood process. I think you have full authority to move forward.
Well, does it say that in the bylaws anywhere? Is it said in the does that outlined in the bylaws?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, then I'd like to see what you're referring to. But Joel, when you started this conversation, you started it with something I was very pleased to hear, which was that we need to talk about it. The neighborhood needs to know. It needs to be discussed. Is that true? The neighbors do deserve to hear what is going on. It needs to be discussed within the neighborhood, whether we decide to defend it or just say, okay.
I don't think that is quite characterizes what I was saying. I do think that, as has been stated, the executive committee, per the bylaws, has certain rights, responsibilities, privileges in terms of representing the neighborhood association at large. I do think that as we engage legal counsel, there will be some discussions that are protected by attorney-client privilege, that there are some decisions and strategies that will be discussed and that are appropriate in some audiences and not appropriate in other audiences. I do think that even as the executive committee has the right or the privilege of sort of representing everyone, at the same time, there may be certain decisions, discussions, nuances, details that is appropriate to discuss with the larger group. And I do think that as a representative of the larger group, that should happen.
And specifically, what would that be?
Well, I think that I don't have an answer.
You can't tell me now whether or not neighbors deserve to hear whether or not the executive committee is even going to.
It doesn't sound like we're in that part of the process yet.
Excuse me. The neighborhood is not allowed to even be told whether we are gonna defend ourselves.
Joel just said we are
I just said that
We are
did make
defending
that
ourselves.
decision.
We are
Okay,
defending.
So the executive committee met and made the decision to proceed with defending the suit. And so that decision has been made.
So then I'm mistaken when I heard you say earlier that we should open it up for discussion if we are going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I have it on tape, and so I mean.
Well, yeah, we have it, the whole meeting is recorded.
Right, but I'm just trying to clarify is all. And you know what it all comes back to, and it's something that I would like to discuss after this discussion is done, with the neighborhood. And that goes to transparency and open communication. So let's finish this conversation, and then we'll have that.
Does everybody here know who Neil is?
Okay,
Because I
thank you.
think that's an
Thank you.
important part of it.
In fact, I could answer that. Neil Ryman is a former resident of our neighborhood. He is a former president of our neighborhood. He is a lawyer, obviously. And Neil has been involved with us on this for several years now. Neil crafted several responses to Myrick's complaints, starting, going back a year and a half ago. And I know everybody's busy, so people don't pay attention, but all this information has been shared via the listserv in previous meetings. And just to reassure everybody, Neil believes in our case, and he told us back in February when we met with Myrick and his lawyers downtown that he's prepared to defend this pro bono as long as his partners don't complain about his conduct. So, but he's all in on it, so just so you know.
Great.
Great, good.
So, you know, my desire is to keep people posted, to certainly be transparent about the fact that it is happening, but not necessarily, I don't want to twist it, but not necessarily to share every single detail, but certainly to keep the neighborhood. I'm a representative of the neighborhood. It's not, this is not just for me, or per the executive committee. The executive committee is sort of representing the neighborhood association as a whole. But as I think we've now said several times, there are things that are sort of appropriate that sort of stay more focused, and there are things that are perhaps more appropriate to be discussed with the input of a larger audience.
So can I get you to agree that just the general progress should be shared with all neighbors?
Yes.
You give me that 100% commitment?
Oh, my God.
No, I asked that, no, I'm very, very
I
serious.
think as things are
General
appropriate-
progress, I'm not talking about backroom lawyer meetings. Generally, you will keep the discussion
Yes.
open about the progress of the
Which
name
is
change
exactly
in the
what I'm
neighborhood.
doing and why I'm bringing it up and why I'm sharing it.
Okay, so
Already said it.
excuse me, I'm talking to Joe. Joe, you give me 100% commitment on that.
I give you 100% commitment that as the president of the association, my job is to represent the executive committee and the association. And we will make decisions to the best benefit of both of those entities.
You'll just share progress with neighbors is all I'm asking. Joe, yes or no? You can't say,
It's enough.
excuse me,
It's really
you
enough.
can't just say, I'll share progress with neighbors. It's that
I think
big of a
I
deal?
think I've said that.
Okay, that's good. Okay,
It's
that's
enough.
pretty roundabout way of just saying yes. Rob.
It's enough.
On a personal note and a neighborhood note, I think everybody heard Kathy's name come up, and Kathy is here. And I think everybody knows that Kathy and Jerry and I did all the verification of the people who were allowed to vote and the people who voted, whether or not their votes were accepted. We have been best friends since, and we will remain best friends.
Yeah.
You don't have to argue with the people on the other side.
when this information is spread to, what, 250 or more people, if it's sent on listserv, there will no doubt be people that want to participate in the decision-making and make all kinds of suggestions to be sure what.
We already went through all of this.
We've
I
done
mean, it took a lot of time and energy and effort, and I don't really understand why this is being relitigated.
You will
Can I say
see.
something about the listserv? Is Marianne gonna let this be discussed on the listserv?
I don't know.
The announcement of it, yeah,
But there would still be people who say, well, I read on the list, or have you thought about such and such? I mean,
I
it's,
think
there's
we're
no question about that
daffodils
would happen.
and
I can't speak for Mary Ann, but I'm guessing just like Joel sent out emails about this meeting and referenced this, in a very short few words, but referenced this topic. And that went out, and I'm sure Mary Ann, I'm guessing, would be fine with disseminating information, but I don't think what she would want to tolerate is this opening back up and having a big harangue,
No discussion, right, Mike?
no discussion.
That's what Mary Ann said last time.
Rob, Mary Ann was trying to get people to behave themselves on the listserv, and a
That's
lot
what
of
she
people
said.
got real ugly.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
No conversation. So Joel, I guess nobody wants to talk about the actual name change, and I don't either at this point.
Okay.
That's up to the lawyers. What I want to talk to you, Joel, about, in front of all neighbors, is exactly what we are now talking about, which is free and open discussion.
Mr.
And,
President.
excuse me, let me finish. So, over a year ago, I asked you to respond about my censorship. And what I did years ago when this whole thing started, I asked simply the question, why are we changing the name when it did not meet the bylaws 60% vote? And the immediate response to me was, if you say anything else about this, we will boot you off the listserv.
not
Now, I have it all in writing, and it's, Joel, and it's been sent to you, and I'll leave this, please let me finish. Talking to Joel directly, and then you can
I'm
respond.
being
transparent here.
You can respond after
That is
I'm
not
done.
true.
So Joel, I have sent you the emails where Mary Ann sent that to me, and guess what? I never did say another word about it, but what I did do is I created a separate listserv group
you stole
where
all of
free
our
and
emails,
open
yeah.
discussion
And you
is,
stole our emails
Excuse
from
me,
our- from
Joel.
Marianne's
Yes, you
listserv.
did.
Nobody gave you those.
That's why
Where-
you got kicked off, Rob.
where
That's why.
free and open discussion is, was, and is still guaranteed. And invited members in the group that is created, the whole purpose of the group is to encourage discussion among neighbors. And so when Mary Ann shut it all down, I just said, fine, let's just do it over here.
Because it was
And then I
ugly,
was
it was
removed
negative.
from the listserv group. And they used the excuse that I stole all of the emails that are publicly visible to everybody in the group on that listserv.
And
if
many
it
of
is
us
such-
don't care.
And if it is such a big
What you
thing,
think.
if it is, Joel, I'm not done. If it is such a big thing to protect it, and it is such a sacred thing, you can do what I do in my listserv, Joel. You spend $20 a month and nobody sees the emails.
Mr.
But I've been, so my question to you,
I'd like to
Joel,
hear what Ron has to say.
my question
Sorry.
to you,
Ron,
Joel,
what
is,
is that?
Let's listen to
what is
Ron.
your
Let's
response
listen
to
to
my
Ron.
year-old request
How
on
come
being
we discuss it
reinstated
and
back
not
to
take
the
a vote
listserv
for it?
and removing the censorship of as a resident of Cameron Park neighborhood, ability to
It's
be
not
part of
Cameron
the
Park, it's
discussion?
Forest Park.
Okay, so
Mr. President.
first of all, Rob, I don't think it is, this is not the right venue for this discussion. Much of what you described happened before I moved into the neighborhood, so I was not part of any of those discussions. I don't have that as sort of firsthand. But I was shown multiple comments that you've made through the time. You were not removed for some of the reasons that you're describing. You were removed from the list because of tone of the comments, way of the comments.
Joel,
And
I was removed before anybody even knew who I was in this neighborhood. All I simply said was, why are we
Rob, you
changing
were
the name?
inappropriate. That's why you were removed.
So who deems what's appropriate and what's inappropriate?
Yes,
So-
Ron.
Who's gonna make that decision?
Well, I think a number of other people.
Freedom of speech includes appropriateness. Is speech free except for somebody deciding what's appropriate and what's not
Okay,
What's
appropriate?
not appropriate is dominating the discussion at every single meeting to discuss the same thing
Dominating, I've
over
kept
and over
quiet,
again.
I've kept quiet forever.
Every meeting.
Let's just.
And it's gonna be every meeting.
Okay.
The meeting, I think.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
as an individual, I want to commend the executive committee for how they have handled this situation. As an individual, I want to urge the executive committee to continue doing what you're doing along the lines of what Greg said. And I want to commend you for allowing this discussion when in fact you have the authority in the executive committee to move forward. We need to be informed, but we don't need to take over the executive committee's function. I commend you to continue what you're doing. I can make a motion if you think it's appropriate. I do not think it appropriate, but I think we've probably heard enough, I have heard enough discussion this time, and I commend you for allowing this discussion and urge you and the executive committee to move forward as you move forward.
Yes.
Just to be clear, so just to be clear, Joel, your response to me, Joel, is that you are not gonna do anything about my censorship. That's your response.
That is my response.
Thank you.
I motion that the meeting be called again.
So I have one more thing to be read in the minutes.
I second.
No, I have something to be read in the minutes.
All right, let's clean
Now,
up.
here we go. Censorship one more time. Cameron Park neighborhood is still Cameron Park neighborhood. Cameron Park Neighborhood Association is still Cameron Park Neighborhood Association.